Hey guys, I am DM Zone. This is Gamers Oasis. Let's get into it. Okay, guys, we're going to talk about the spell Bless. This spell doesn't seem like it has a lot going on at the very beginning. When you look at it, it gives, for those who are not in combat, a +1 to hit and the +1 to morale. Now, the interesting thing about that is, in original Dungeons and Dragons, morale doesn't even matter to a player. PCs choose to fail or win, essentially, or do not even have to take a morale save. So that's not really for us. That's for the henchmen, that's for the enemies, and this type of stuff. +1 to hit doesn't sound like a lot, but that's because we're used to in these days, and if you're playing with the alternative D20 system called the Attack Matrix in the original Dungeons and Dragons, not with what they consider to be the core rules, which actually comes out of Chainmail. It's a whole different thing, a whole different game. +1 in a D20 doesn't really matter. However, if you're doing mass combat from Chainmail, that's a D6. If you're doing the man-to-man or the fantasy combat, that's 2d6, and you're aiming for a target number. So maximum on a 2d6 is 12. Dagger trying to stab someone with plate mail and shield needs a 12. So getting 11 or 12 is way different than getting a 12 only, if you can imagine. Okay, so you get strength bonuses and this type of stuff, sure. But these bonuses push that to the lower end of the dice, making it way easier to hit. So Bless is a little bit better, but let's be honest. You have to be out of combat. That's a hard situation. You have to be either tactically involved in the situation, or you're going to be unfortunately caught up in it. The spell only lasts for 6 turns. That's 60 minutes. That's, a few rounds inside a dungeon. You have a couple of these, maybe you're doing pretty good, but it takes up a second level slot. Now, that's not a first, that's not a cure light, but that there are some other second level spells that a cleric would want to have. So here's my thoughts on the matter. If I was to spice it up, if I was to change it, I wouldn't get rid of the in combat, out of combat situation. I think I'd leave that alone. I think what I would do is I would leave the mass combat at +1, because that's a +1 on a D6. That's pretty major. The difference between a 5 and a 6 is pretty big on a D6. It's 16%. Okay? I would change, the fantasy combat and the man-to-man combat, which is on 2d6. I would change that to a +2. Again, working with the same percentages, but really if you need a 12, that's a much greater amount than even really 12%. What you would think with that. I mean, it's a lot. Okay, so now let's talk about the D20. So on the D20, you're looking at +3. Now, +3 is an odd number. Really haven't seen that anywhere else in the D&D franchise as far as bonuses to hit. I've seen +4s, I've seen +2s, but the +3 works out really well with Bless if you're working off of a D6. It's 16% there, and +3 on a D20 is 15%. So it really comes back to being about the same. And that, what I was saying earlier about the 12, that's sort of in between that, but that's going to be the same type of ratio. It really works out to be about the same. I think it's actually still 16%. But anyways, I digress. This type of thing helps out a lot, but leaves that tactical foresight, a little bit of planning. You can maybe prevent the enemy from getting a anti-bless off because you engage them in melee without them being able to do this. Maybe you're more tactical and your guys are out of melee when this happens, and you prevent them from doing that. I would still leave the morale save the same, because regardless of what system you're using for combat, that is still the same morale system. Anyways, that's my thoughts. We're going to be doing more videos like this fairly often with spells and everything, so look forward to more of these as they come out. Thank you, and see you guys in the next one. Bye.